What's going on, everyone? My name is Nicholas Merton here at Data Dash, and today is December 4th of 2017. Well, folks, today we have a very large cryptocurrency project to talk about on the Data Dash channel. It's one that many of you over the past week have gained more and more interest in, and as I've gotten more and more requests to cover this project, I've wanted to cover it more myself as I learn more and more. Over the past week, I've spent some time extensively researching into the project, trying to get a grasp of it, and really trying to break down the supposed potential behind the project that a lot of people are getting excited about. A lot of people have been curious about the price run-up. Some people are curious about the tech and also the philosophy behind the project. And I gotta say, folks, in short summary, I'm optimistic on this one. Today, we're gonna be talking about Cardano. So a lot of you out there have asked, what Cardano is all about. You want a brief description of it, because if any of you have taken the time to look into Cardano, it's a very, I would say, a very ambitious project. And another way to put that is a tall stack. It has a lot of goals and ambitions. But these goals and ambitions come in a streamlined package, and they really are considering trying to build what's known as a third generation of cryptocurrencies. So I'm going to break down what that means later on and talk about all the fundamentals of what Cardano really is. But I got to tell you all, it's an extremely exciting project as someone who's spent some time actually, looking into it. And today I hope to give you a nice brief description of my stance on it and some of the things that I find very interesting about the project. Okay, so let's go ahead and dive in first and foremost into the numbers. So we can see here that first and foremost, Cardano has a steady valuation. It's ranked in the top 10 of cryptocurrencies. And for its short life, Cardano has really taken the ranks here at this valuation. Of course, it's not technically in the top 5 yet, so I don't consider it a large cap. Nonetheless, it is on the large end of mid caps. And over the past few weeks, most of this valuation really just kind of flushed in. And it's been holding very steady towards the top. It hasn't been seeing much sell side. You can see now that the circulating supply is almost around 26 billion ADA, which is the actual currency behind the Cardano blockchain. And we can see here that the max supply is going to be 45 billion. So with the total supply right now of 31 billion out of the max supply of 45 billion, looks pretty good to me. Most cryptocurrency projects sometimes are around a quarter of their max supply, and that can be a little bit fishy. But I think this is good. You have well over almost close to 3/4 of the total circulating supply coming in out of the max supply already. So I'm very interested in that, and I think the numbers look good. The volume checks out. So now that we have good news in the sense of numbers, let's go ahead and dive into Cardano. So Cardano itself, as many of you might know, has not been extensively trying to market itself. We see a general trend with ICOs trying to go out of their way and claiming they're the next big thing, and they'll go out and market everywhere. They'll buy advertising. I know, trust me, as a YouTuber, I get requests all the time from projects to cover their project or give them publicity. It happens all the time in the space. And as much as marketing is important, sometimes it's best to make sure that your project has such good technology behind it and such good ambitions that it alone is what markets the project. And that's what I find with Cardano. And this is, again, rarely found in cryptocurrencies. In a new space like this where people are out to make a lot of money, Cardano is a very ambitious project and an ambitious philosophy behind what they're trying to build. So let's go ahead, let's run through the description here, and I'll try to break it down. So right here on their website, the first thing you'll see, it says Cardano is a decentralized public blockchain and cryptocurrency project and is fully open source. Cardano is developing a smart contract platform which seeks to deliver more advanced features than any protocol previously developed. It is the first blockchain platform to evolve out of a scientific philosophy and a research-first driven approach. The development team consists of a large global collective of expert engineers and researchers. And this is not just some, out-of-the-water statement that Cardano is making. This is what they're doing. Cardano itself, at its core, really is based around a scientific foundation. It believes that you can take a lot of scientific applications of computer science, computer engineering, and you can apply that research basis onto a cryptocurrency project. And it seems so simple at the end of the day that someone would try to do something like this. But really, if you look around the cryptocurrency space, most people haven't. I'll give you, a little bit of statistics here. Around 90 to 95% of cryptocurrency projects are a ripoff of the Bitcoin source code or the pure coin, which was the first proof of stake coin source code, and they've just made small modifications to it. So there's not a crazy amount of innovation in the cryptocurrency space. And because of that, something like Cardano, which has gone out of its way, as we'll take a look at later, and taking an academic approach, has really set itself apart. Not to mention, you'll see as the team is there later on, is a very, very well-formed team. And you have people like Charles, who we'll talk about later on, who is an individual who's a part of the original team for Ethereum. So you've got a lot of, team members from Ethereum, this and that. It sounds very flashy, but Cardano isn't trying to be flashy. It's really trying to build a project from the ground up that just genuinely gets people interested. And there's a lot of core principles that they're trying to tackle inside Cardano that make it such an ambitious project. So we'll be diving through a few things throughout the video. You have Ouroboros, which is their aimed objective proof of stake algorithm system that they're hoping to implement onto Cardano later on, which will be a way for people to want to help run the network. And then you have Daedalus. I'm always bad at pronouncing these kind of things. But this is their wallet, and if you take a look at it later on, you'll see the absolute design is on point. It's not your average Qt wallet. They have advanced features inside the wallet, and they're going to continue to build features on top of the wallet, as we'll see in the timeline. Okay, so why are they building Cardano? I'm going to give you a brief rundown because, as I might have said at the beginning of the video, if you were to try to learn all about Cardano, I know the average individual does not have the time to dive into it. It's a very ambitious project. However, I'm going to give you the brief 3 things that they're trying to do. And this goes back to what I was talking about with it being a 3rd-gen crypto. If we take a small step through history here, there really has been a few major evolutions in cryptocurrencies. First and foremost was 1st gen, which we all know is Bitcoin. Bitcoin was a way that we could have a decentralized platform that allowed people to make peer-to-peer transactions. However, if we really think about it in a conceptual sense, in a practicality sense, and implementing it on the global stage, Bitcoin can only make simple transactions. It's peer-to-peer. It's you and I making simple transactions of Bitcoin. It's an accounting system. It's very interesting, and it was a revolution for the time being. However, that alone isn't practical for, mainstream adoption of cryptocurrencies, or at least in the world of finance and a variety of other sectors. And then later on, Ethereum came along, Vitalik's project came along, and basically Ethereum itself was able to implement smart contracts, something that the Bitcoin core team really didn't want to put on top of Bitcoin at the time. And you had Ethereum come up out of fruition, and it became a multi-billion-dollar cryptocurrency because it gave the ability for people to make different types of applications with smart contracts, escrow, all kinds of different things like derivatives, etc. There's a lot of implementations that you could put within smart contracts, and it was a great step into the next revolution of cryptocurrencies. However, not only are some of those smart contracts limited, you have a few other issues that are still remaining in cryptocurrencies, and this is where 3rd generation steps in, and this is where Cardano is trying to fix these issues. So what are those issues? Well, we have 3 major terms that we need to consider: scalability, interoperability, and sustainability. And I'm going to break down those 3 terms very simply, instead of having to dive through all this all their motivation and all these different details and stuff. You can look into it if you want later on. First and foremost, they want to have scalability. So scalability is a few different things. Scalability is being able to scale the blockchain. It's being able to process more and more transactions without violating anything that either disrupts the security of the chain or the inefficiency of the chain, or if it makes it so people can't, participate in Cardano because it's lacking scalability features. So their major focus is to fix scalability. We've seen this with Bitcoin and Ethereum. They cannot scale to the degree that world adoption needs. You take a look at Visa or MasterCard. The transactions that they do are thousands per second. Bitcoin network cannot do that right now. Ethereum cannot do that. There is way too much of a demand in the world for prior kind of almost archaic and old forms of blockchain. So Cardano is going to work towards making sure to stay scalable 24/7, continuing to evolve over time. And we'll talk about that more, continuing to evolve as we go towards the 3rd term. But the 2nd term as well is interoperability. It's a fancy word for being able to interact and communicate with other blockchains. Now, they're doing this through a few different technologies like side chains, and Other ways that you can do things, maybe like atomic swaps, for example, where you can have communication with different cryptocurrencies. Because Cardano, much like the rest of us in the world, believe that Bitcoin isn't going to be the all being currency, nor is Ethereum, nor is Dogecoin. There's no one cryptocurrency that's going to be the winner of them all. There is dozens of ERC20 tokens that are going to be around for quite some time, much like there are with original coins that have been built off the Bitcoin source code. There's so many different cryptocurrencies that need to communicate and be able to make transactions with one another. Cardano wants to do that. It doesn't want to make Cardano its one sole platform and you only use Cardano, or ADA, the currency behind Cardano. The third thing as well is to have sustainability. And this is my favorite part of Cardano, and I think one of the biggest things that people are looking forward to as we go down the timeline of Cardano's lifespan. And that is implementing a system of governance. This is extremely important. And in very simple terms, I can show you just the importance of it. Take a look back over the past few months at how people have been arguing about what the real Bitcoin is. Is it Bitcoin, or is it Bitcoin Cash? Or how do we implement these soft and hard forks? A lot of people don't like the idea that most BIPs, or Bitcoin improvement proposals, are implemented by the miners. It's a very select few people who have the mass majority of the hash rate. And because of that, they get to make massive decisions on what defines Bitcoin, what Bitcoin really is at the end of the day. And because of that, it doesn't have a true system of governance. Sure, there is that kind of system where the hash rate determines it, but it's not something where people like you and I can have any major say in it. So it almost doesn't feel like a decentralized cryptocurrency. Well, there is no perfect system of governance. We all know that. However, Cardano wants to work towards building a system of governance that can engage the mass majority of the community, that can allow us to help dictate policies and changes for the Cardano project, and really make it what it's aiming to be, a decentralized currency for all of us. And they're implementing something known as the Treasury later on that's going to allow them to do this. Now, keep in mind that whole kind of sustainability governance system has not been implemented yet, but it's in the timeline. And basically, like most projects, you need some developers and some like-minded people to start it off, and then they're going to let it free and allow the community to operate under this agreed-upon system of governance on the Cardano project. So, again, I can ramble on into the extra details here, and I highly recommend, if you do consider investing into it, to read through it, see some of the innovations and stuff. And I'm going to point you towards some resources that maybe would be a little less dense than all of this and will help you understand it better on as we go through. So if we take a look through the Cardano roadmap, there's a few different things. First, you had Byron, which was the first implementation, the launch of Cardano. And as it says here, this has been in the works for quite some time. We'll learn about Input-Output Hong Kong. And this is basically the company that has originally founded the Cardano project. They've been working on this for the past 2 years, and they've been working with academic research to deliver on this. I'll hop back here on the timeline in just a second, but this is, again, going back to what I was saying earlier about an academic focus. Cardano, unlike other cryptocurrency projects, takes their concepts and ideas and has put them through peer review. It's something that at least shows a sense of maturity in the crypto space, where everyone is just so eager to put things out without, a concept and giving an ERC20 token without actually having the tech for it yet, or at least testing the technology or having an idea of what that tech could imply. You'll learn that what Cardano is doing is highly mature, and it's respectable to a degree, because these are peer-reviewed studies that you can go through that are open and out there. You can check the technology, what they're trying to do. And they've done this with a few different things. They've done it with their proof-of-stake system that they want to implement. They've done it with using different things like side chains, for example. So you can read through this. You can learn a little bit about it. This is all research that has been peer-reviewed at university level by people who are experts in the space of researching these different topics. And I gotta tell you, as someone who is a college dropout, as someone who left university, I give high respect to this. I think that it's important to take that kind of academic approach in understanding your code, your the different types of mathematical principles that you're trying to apply to your technology. It's very important to have that implemented from the get-go, so there aren't any failures later on inside your protocol. So, again, I recommend you go check through that if you're really interested in the tech side of crypto. But I know most of you are here for the short summary. So So basically, they had the mainnet launch on September 29th of 2017, and they recently implemented Shelly. This is one of the many kind of milestones. It's really cool. They have this awesome timeline, and a lot of the names for the updates and everything are tied towards either scientific figures, poets, very philosophical individuals. It's really interesting. But you can see through they have a very clean, laid out timeline of both the features that they've added, as well as the features they're hoping to implement, and some of the kind of base timeline parts that they're trying to implement. And a lot of those are really interesting. So you can go through. They have all kinds of resources for the different features. I don't have the time to go through all of them, but you can check through, and they have things like multi-signature transactions, wallet backend, consensus incentives, and fees. So they're trying to build ways that really make this sustainable for the long term. Not to mention, I like quantum resistant signatures. So that's important in cryptocurrencies as well. I think a lot of people don't take the concern of, quantum computing as something to worry about, but it is. And again, you'll read through, you find so many wonderful resources here. Not to mention you have, some team members here. You have links to their GitHub. You want to look at the actual source code of any given part of the project, go ahead and dive into it. It's there for you. They're very, very open about what they're doing. It's all open source. So you can go take a look at the code. It's not exclusive. You can go to the Reddit. You can go to the forums. They have YouTube videos tied towards certain parts of the project. And I highly recommend, as I'll talk about later, to read through those. But they'll also be working on building things on top of their wallet, as well as helping to build a network and set the foundation for it so that when they issue that system of governance, it'll be ready. So again, you can read through, you can see when they have the next planned update to come to the network. Again, delivering things relatively quick. They just recently updated the network, and now they're planning to release the next update in practically 30 days. So this is awesome to see that they're pushing this through. And as you read through, you can read brief descriptions, and they get more into detail about the features that will come in with those as they update the timeline. And they have a very active team, as we'll talk about later, that adds these things. But first off, I think the next few updates we have to look forward to is the one in 31 days. Basically, they're going about creating a universal language framework for the core infrastructure of Cardano and future blockchain technologies. And this is in Gogan. Again, don't judge me on the name pronunciation. Doesn't prove too much one way or the other. I'm terrible with names. And the real thing, nonetheless, is what they're ambitiously trying to do. So once they implement this, I know with Basho, for example, they're trying to increase scalability, security of the network, making sure that the foundation is finite and prepared for later use of the network and later updates on the network. And as well, I want you to keep in mind, for those of you out there who are developers, this is built mostly on Haskell. And we'll learn later on as we talk about what's known as high assurance code or high assurance software is what Cardano is trying to take as an approach for security. I know a lot of people are very curious about the security of most blockchain projects, not outside of messing with transactions, but really the security of the network. And we'll learn later on about how they're kind of not only taking a scientific approach to everything, but also how they can implement high assurance code. And we'll see Vault here as well is extra scalability. And they're also going to bring about the sustainability aspect by building the treasury model that will ensure and enable the kind of the expansion of the community and allowing people to start voting or building a voting system on the Cardano network. So again, all very exciting stuff. If you want to read about some of their concepts ahead of time before implementation, about things like Ouroboros or the utilization of sidechains, go read into these if you're a heavy junkie into this kind of stuff. But IOHK, Input Output Hong Kong, which is where the Cardano project was really founded over the past 2 years, has some very interesting figures in it. Predominantly Charles Hoskinson. So if we go through the team here, we can see that not only has Charles been on the team of Input Output Hong Kong and is working with the Cardano project, he was one of the original team members on the Ethereum project. But along with that, you have an extensive team of resources. Now, this is not all just Cardano. This is the Input Output Hong Kong. But you have a long list of developers and engineers. This is the Cardano project specifically here. But even this, I mean, blows out of the water most different cryptocurrency projects. And you can go through and they have a long list of connected resources of individuals who are all working either in the blockchain space, are working heavily in a variety of different technology-based projects. And to have this kind of network all under one company, I mean, it's fantastic. Not to mention Cardano's team itself is quite expansive. So, of course, as always, we couldn't dive into everyone here, but there are some very accredited individuals here. Not to mention, you'll find a lot of these individuals. I know I watched a video from Duncan, for example, from the videos that they post. Cardano does a lot of great videos breaking down all the technical jargon and making it simple to understand for the project. And again, this is a great article here. He actually did a video. Duncan was the one who made the video that they have on their YouTube channel talking about high assurance code. And there's a great article I'll leave a link down below, along with some of these other resources that talks about high assurance code and pretty much hack-proof code, where they gave a team of hackers 6 weeks to try to break into a Little Bird, an unmanned military vehicle that basically they gave them 6 weeks to try to break into. And quite frankly, they couldn't. They couldn't do it. And it's a different type of code than the kind of code you see on, Facebook or Twitter or any general website. It's not the same type of code like that. High assurance or hack-proof code is code that is really used in situations of life or death. It's the question of, can someone hack into my helicopter and make me crash, or take my helicopter and go shoot someone? That's not what you want. So that's why it's high assurance code, and it's gone through rigorous review by people who are experts in the space. It doesn't make it exactly hack proof, but it makes it much, much harder to break into. And surprisingly, many blockchain based projects don't do this. And that's why you have things like the DAO with Ethereum, and why you have, Parity, for example, which I think people should definitely read into these events if they want to have an understanding of. But again, it really attests to the idea of potentially adding hack-proof or high-assurance code to a given cryptocurrency project, especially if it's going to be a global currency or a global technology that people are going to be used. It would make sense. Along with this as well, a lot of people are interested in the ADA card that's going to be released, or the Cardano debit card. I think this is good. I think it's really interesting to see that they're trying to focus on right at the beginning, finding ways that they can actually implement spending ADA or ADA wherever they go. I think that's good in the sense of long-term adoption. However, it's the question of, of course, as always, you can make a card pretty much for most of these technologies. It's the question of whether or not someone's going to adopt it or build the different systems in place to actually go about using Cardano in a retail setting. I don't know. I think more of it's going towards an online setting and stuff, so it makes most of these crypto projects all right as is. But again, nonetheless, very cool, and cool to see that they're thinking about that ahead of time. But in summary, I know many of you out there like to watch my videos because it is a short summary of things. I hope I've given you a great idea of what the Cardano project is all about. I hope I've been able to break things down to a sense. But I will tell you that Charles Hoskinson did a wonderful video. It's about 50 minutes. Not to mention there's a few other videos. I know this one, for example, Duncan right here did as well. Highly recommend you check that out, where they've talked and broken down a lot of the concepts and what Cardano is trying to do. And he doesn't always speak in such a technical sense. I love Charles because he's able not only to have a very high understanding of the traditional flaws of cryptocurrency, which we got to be fair, there are some. It's not there yet completely, much like the internet wasn't back a few years ago. But he understands things in a very technical sense, but at the same time, he can take that technical understanding and bring it towards a very easy to comprehend and easy to digest format, so that the average individual who isn't a computer science major, who isn't a computer engineering expert, can understand what they're trying to do, at least on a conceptual basis. And if you want to get more technical, if you want to learn about it, they have all the resources out there. It's peer-reviewed. It's understood. It's reviewed to a sense where you're not going to worry if this is just another ICO or if this is going to be a game changer. I can tell you all, I'm pretty confident that this is going to be a very big project coming over the next few years. And hopefully maybe we can get Charles on. I'd love to have Charles on the channel. I know I'm probably going to not sound anywhere close to as intelligent as he is, or anyone on the Cardano team. But I gotta say, it's inspiring to see stuff like this, because they've been working on this project for 2 years. They didn't rush out an ICO. They didn't rush to market the ICO. They didn't think to come contact YouTube channels like myself. I can tell you, I don't remember ever getting contacted by Cardano. They focused on the technology, and the technology will speak for itself given time. You can go out and rush in a given cryptocurrency project and claim you're going to be the next big thing. It's another thing to go out and prove it. And I give massive props to the Cardano team for that. They have the team to deliver on it. They have the peer-reviewed studies to go with it. They have the philosophy to match it. So the question is it the next Ethereum? I know that many people have been asking that. I will tell you it's a very high potential candidate for that. It really is, because if you go through and understand this, folks, you'll understand that the fixes they have, or the ideas that they have to fix scalability, interoperability, as well as sustainability with a system of governance. These three things could very well make it the next big project in the space. No one else is really doing this. No one else in the space. So I give them, again, massive props. I'm excited to see what Cardano does, and I can't wait to see what they choose as a system of governance. That's something that's interested me because I've been very frustrated with the lack of consensus with the Bitcoin proposals that have been coming out and seeing where Bitcoin wants to go in regards to its protocol. So the real question many of you are asking me as a channel of investments, a lot of people ask, Nick, should I buy Cardano? Is it the next Ethereum? Guys, again, we can't be too sure at these levels. No, I'm just kidding. But here's the thing with Cardano. This is almost a project you don't want to try to trade. I want to emphasize that. I really don't think, in my humble opinion, you're going to want to try to swing trade Cardano. Yes, there will be some volatile run-ups and downturns in regards to the fact that it's still very early on. As much as they've been working on this for 2 years, implementing all the additional things that they want to implement, it's going to take time, and it's going to take them getting their foundation set up. So because of that, I really don't believe you should trade this. I believe that we should see the long-term potential in Cardano if we're going to choose to invest in it. My opinion is I'm waiting for it to pull back a little bit. It's had a nice run-up. I think you could see a tiny bit of a correction, but I have fail-safe measures just in case if my theory doesn't go well. So I have a general buy level. I'm hoping to buy around 1,000 Satoshis, maybe a little bit above there. Get it at a little bit of a discount from where it is right now. Luckily, it's not at fresh all-time highs, but I think it could pull back a little bit, especially with where Bitcoin is right now. I think we're going to experience a little bit of a cryptocurrency pullback in the next few days. But I'm definitely looking at Cardano as being one of my projects to hold long-term, not touch it, not trade it, as it is very cheap right now, in my personal opinion. However, if I do not get it around these levels, I don't have it exactly at 1,000 Satoshis, but even if it doesn't come below 1,100, I definitely have my safety measures in place. I've decided that I'm going to be buying Cardano at 1,400 Satoshis if that doesn't work. A nice medium channel from where it is right now. I am my level where it's like, oh, you know, I got to pay a few hundred extra Satoshis. Big deal. I think this could be going places over the next few months. No big deal. Or I can get my nice little discount here. We'll see what happens. Again, it's not something you can trade too much. One, it's been going sideways for the past few days. And also, this run-up, I think, is happening for a reason. And you're going to see more of these going over the next few months as they continue to develop the project, that is, if they are successful at it. Again, going back to what I said at the beginning, and I'll keep this as the final summary for it, it's a tall stack to take on. It's a very, very ambitious project. They're trying to really take on the third generation of cryptocurrencies. But I believe with their team, with the peer-reviewed studies they have, the ideas and philosophy they have, as well as the idea that the user base of the platform should go about helping to decide where this project goes after its foundation has been formed, makes me very confident that Cardano has a very bright future. Anyways, everyone, that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching. If you all have any comments, questions, or concerns about Cardano or any other project, please leave it down in the comments down below, and I'll try to get to it, or hopefully some of you out there in the community can help answer some of these questions. Cardano is a very ambitious project, so I know there's going to be a lot of questions tied to it. But anyways, that's it for the video. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one. Stay tuned.